Oh. Oh, what's kicking, everybody? How we doing, fam? It's your boy, Matt Waters. This is the Weekly Wave, episode 87, I believe. My guests today are going to be Will Hafley and Kaden Lucas. I think they're here, so I'm going to go let them in. Bada bing, bada boom. Hallelujah! Holy shit! Welcome to it, boys. Thanks for coming out today.
No,
What's up,
you,
man?
seriously.
Thank you for having us.
Man, I have a lot of questions about what the fuck y'all been doing out there in the middle of Brown County, man.
Boons.
Yeah.
Well, like y'all were telling me, like last time we kicked it, how many projects you had for wrapping up the year. Have you wrapped up the year?
No.
No.
We've gotten a lot of stuff done for sure in that time, which was not been that long. What you were at the house? What, probably less than a month ago? I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say probably like a month ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we finished some projects up. We dropped that. We dropped a music video.
For the Alico.
Alico, yeah.
Alico,
Yeah,
Alico.
Alico, yeah.
Great song, man.
Yeah,
like
it's
you
a
know,
good song.
from hearing that crooner and then seeing the videos, like this is
That's probably
what
really
a
awesome
night,
for
yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a quick like aha, you know what I mean?
It was real special for me too when Spencer got there because I kind of put him in contact with Noah and got like showed those two to each other and then he got on and did a crooner and you know was like I just want to thank Will and Kaden, you know, and I'm like, dude, that's what this all is about.
Exactly,
really. Like
man.
it's about just kind of like community building and bonding and showcasing our art to each other because that's what kind of builds a scene and all that, and it's just friendships, and we're just people having a good time.
Yeah, well, I feel like also when you guys, you know, you curate your clients in the same way that other people like curate a playlist. You know, like when you pick and choose what projects are going to mean something to you, it's because like your thumbprint's going to appear in some way, shape, or form on this. So when you get off of doing Noah's video and then you do their video, it's like, oh, now I see that there's some congruency here. You can plug people in.
Yeah.
And it's like those are. We don't forge every friendship on our own. You know, like some people come in, it's just like not just a mutual friend, but like a
there's an
mutual
introduction.
trusted source.
Yeah.
What would you guys say is like the like the best part of meeting a new artist before you start working with them?
Like, usually we kind of just start off as fans of people. Like, Spencer's a good example of that. I remember I first saw him at Latitudes. He was playing a show with, like, Jimmy, Steve Mages, those kinds of cats. And I just heard a couple of his songs, and I just fell in love with his music. We're like, I don't know when I'm going to work with this guy, but I know I want to work with him.
Yeah.
And then I made this little, like, fan art, like, this little, like, piece of art, and I put his song to it. And then I sent it, like, hey, Spencer, I just made this for fun. Check it out. Love the song, man. And he's like, dude, can I use that as like one of our single arts? And I'm like, dude, hell yeah.
Yeah.
And then he hit me up to do the album art for their last one. Was it Gabrielle?
Yeah, I think it's Gabriel.
It was Gabrielle.
I can barely hear you. So.
Yeah. But yeah, you're fine, dude. But yeah, and then we just been working together ever since. And then last October, was it? It was October?
Yeah, around there. I think it maybe been like September.
Yeah, he hit us up to do, we did Medusa, and then we did another song the same day.
Yeah, that was fun actually. We
Fuck
did
yeah.
two videos in one day. We just kind of we used the same location and just completely stylized two rooms in a completely different way. It was at this really cool church with the help of our friend Michael Moeller. You know Michael. He it's his church. He runs different events there and goes there obviously to worship and stuff like that. And we're like, dude, this is perfect. Would you mind if we did? And he allowed us to come into his church and helped us the whole day. He was like, there for anything we needed. It was just an overall like great like teammate and friend like in that member. So it was really cool to do that. Like, like it's not just
Absolutely.
doing something for Lika. Like we're, asking, Michael like, hey man, can we come into your place and, and have some fun and do our thing.
It's an intimate question when it's someone's place of worship too, but like, I think just seeing that you can do two videos in a day, it's a great testament to like how much batch production really helps all of us out. Like zooming out of all these projects and saying, what's the most efficient way to do this? Like I've been trying to figure this out for my own EP process. Like, okay, if I'm going to track drums, I should track drums for a couple days, leave everything up. Because if you break things down, if you go into the next phase of it, it's like you're only losing your consistency.
The mindset,
Yeah.
and what you're working on.
A great mindset, too, for sure. But my question for you guys would be like, what kind of efficiencies can you pull into editing like that? Is it possible?
Well, what you just said, like, is perfect example. For us, like, it's kind of broke down the same thing. I just talked to Mike Heffron on his podcast about it, kind of, is if you look at music and you look at film and you break them down in their individual parts, it's really similar. Like, you got drums, guitar, bass, vocals, extra guitar, percussion, any horns, any extra like tingles or charms or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you have movies, which is the film itself, the audio, acting, vocals. Then you have sound effects. Then you have soundscaping, like music, and then you have the actual music, soundtracks, so like real like songs, and then all those things are layered in a very similar fashion. And like you just said, like focus on the drums. Do just the drums. Get the drums out. If you know what you're going to be making at the end result, you know what the finish line looks like already because you planned it ahead. All that. Do the thing and invest all your time into making sure that's good. And then move on to the next because it's singular, it's streamlined, it's one thing that you're focusing on. You're not mixing it all up and getting confused.
So when you guys relay that to like, I'm specifically interested in like the way that true cinematographers go about their editing process. Because does that mean like, okay, for a day I color correct for all these projects. For a day I strictly edit. Like, how do you bounce between libraries and things like that and manage that project on paper?
Well, so that's kind of, and I'll let Kaden definitely chime in on this because that's a big part. But for me, is like working together. But for me, like, it's always project individuality. So like wherever we're at with that project, that kind of what gets the focus. It's like the same system almost every time we edit. Everything has something different. Like with film, it's everything in one. So we just caught audio for the vocals. We gotta make music. We gotta get the cinematic look. But for something like a documentary, you just set the cameras up, let people talk, and then catch the audio, and you can just chop that together however you like. And then with music videos, you're just no one's recording any audio. It's already there. They have the music for you, and then you just kind of chop together an image. So it's all kind of different like ways to attack different types of projects. But ultimately, it's the same step-by-step basis that we're talking about. Like, you know, you get the film, you get the audio, you cut it together, you color it, you put the little, you know, effects and stuff on it, which is more like what Kaden does.
Yeah. And like most of that stuff, the best mentality we've had to find with it is focus on that one project at a time.
Yeah.
So say if we're working on this music video, we will focus solely on that as much as we can, get the cut, and then Will get the cut. I'll come in with a couple edits, then Will bounce back, and then we'll get the audio. Usually it's already mastered and stuff, so we don't have to worry about it, but just getting it timed and much. And then I'll come in, color correct, and then Will have some ideas, and then throw a couple effects on it, and then we're usually done.
Now, that kind of throws me off. I would never think that you would color correct after an edit. Because don't you need to grab every clip then and pull in the preset that you just made? Or
So, yeah, it kind of, the way Kaden does it is he'll go through and he'll match the raw footage to each other.
Yeah.
He'll like match the look, the lighting, the highlighting, the exposure rate.
Explain that. On the way in, you match everything?
No, so after, so we
after
get a
the
good
fact.
cut,
Okay.
right? We may like take, if it's a full clip, if it's just one take of a song, we may go in before and do that. But if it's like takes like in a movie, we're not going to get the same lighting every time. So we're just going to go in with the thought of we're going to fix that and make it match. And then we're going to put a layer on top of all that and then color it to our fitting of what we see as the artistic color in it.
So after the edit's made, you're going to match the raw, and then that top sheen, that top layer is almost like a mastering. This thing just dropped? No, we're cool. This is, I've never used this program before, so if it drops out, like we're fucked.
okay.
We'll restart.
It's cool, man.
But I would, you know, it's like mastering in that way where it's like, okay, here's the mix. Everything's done, but now we need to make this thing pop.
Yeah,
And you do that as one consistent piece.
And that's in every piece of the puzzle. So that's with color, that's with audio, that's with the edit itself. Because when you throw up a first cut edit, I mean that's not the thing. That's not the film. Like that's what you think you want to get to.
Yeah.
But then there's all these other extra puzzle pieces that you normally can't put together the first time sitting down unless you somebody like super expertise and can just go outside of your own mind frame to look into something. And I catch myself all the time. Like I'll be editing something, but because I'm in the chair, I can't see it as I do when I'm behind somebody that's in the chair. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. What a great, you know, especially being a team and the way that you guys like to piggyback off each other. Like, you obviously have that chemistry of when you're not looking there, I'm looking there. When you're not looking here, I'm looking here. It's like in Forrest Gump where they're sleeping back to back and they're just chit chat, and it's like it's very casual once you know all your bases are covered. And then you can do the creative thing. You can talk about your shrimp. You know, you can get into the shit.
That's why I would say makes mine and Caden's relationship really easy because that's kind of what it goes down to. Like we know what each other's positives are, and we know what each other's negatives are when it comes to the field of film. You know, we've been working with her for 6 years now. Like just me and him. Like we are the two most consistent together in the last few years doing all this, and we've learned a lot of each other. We know what our strengths and weaknesses are, and then that helps a lot. Like, because we have there's projects that Kaden does that I have nothing to do with. There's projects I do that Kaden has nothing to do with. But when we make a decision to do something together, that's where like we take the time to develop an idea together and make it work. And that we talk. What was that conversation we just had the other day about? Kind of like we don't really argue. We just have very hard disagreements until we come to a conclusion of what that, coming together is.
Yeah. And I think it's another thing that makes like our partnership like work is that we're willing to like take a step out and try to come up with a compromise. Yeah. Because me and Will have gotten into some heated arguments about like art and stuff, and like people on the outside that see that, but like, are you guys mad at each other? Like arguing, actually mad at each other? Like, no. It's just we're just bickering.
It's just the pure emotion coming out of us that we want to display onto our art, and like it means a lot to us. Like in whatever way we do it, like we want to tell stories in everything. That's just kind of the people we are creatively.
Yeah, well, it's powerful to say like we're gonna disagree with our whole heart, but not take things personally.
Exactly.
Like, to be influenced in the subjective realms, like. Your heart's at play. It's hard not to let it be your heart and you and feeling attacked in that. When someone's saying, no, my edit, not your edit, this or that. Yeah. It's like, that's really picky.
It's selfish, too.
But I also think it's because you can step away from each other and have projects without each other. Like, people get really, really messy when they're stuck in, like, a monogamous creative relationship. It's like, this is a bounce around and play ball kind of a world. Like some projects for me, some projects for you, some projects for us, some projects for us. You have to be able to mend and mold like that.
I also think that's how you get better at any of your craft. Like a lot of the stuff I've learned graphic wise, I've learned on my own, but I take that, and when me and Will work on a project, that makes that better. The same with Will. The project, like he just did Crooner Circus. He did that all by himself. I had nothing to do with that.
The Crooner Camp, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice production, man.
Thank you, yeah.
Yeah, but he did that all on his own, but he still had some stuff he learned from me, like color stuff, working with graphics, angles and stuff.
Yeah. But that's got to be so crazy where we have efficiencies from learning together. Like the fact that you sat down and watched the 20-minute video on color correcting, and then you showed him what you took away from that. It's like it's a quicker digested medium of this. Yeah. Versus him saying, this way of framing it, this idea for production. And then stepping away from each other and being a little bit competitive about those things. And like in a healthy, positive way.
Yeah. It's to help the other one inevitably. Like, cuz like it's not like the separation with me and Kaden when it comes to this is like he's more like in the technical base, like so he knows how to get into the computer and play with effects and play with the lighting really well and the color and throw things in there that wouldn't be there before. Whereas me, I take on a more directorial role, so I'll talk to like the actors and the people that are going to be on camera, get them in their mode, like, hey, this is what I want to see from you. And so I'm on a much more practical thing, and then like I know more like audio wise and just being a musician, and then and we just take our individual skills and just throw them at each other, and then we kind of gotten what we got in the last years, and there's no there was definitely a time where we didn't know what the fuck we were doing at all.
Oh, for sure.
Like, we just kind of like Clairemont Films was just purely like me and Kaden in our buddy's basement drinking a bottle of wine, and we're just like, we want to do something. What are we gonna do? Let's just do this. And we went out there and we filmed a 2-minute short film with some music over top of it and started a whole era of our lives.
Yeah, just from that one conversation. And that's all it takes sometimes, man.
That's beautiful, man.
Deciding, taking that moment and that decision, like, yo, we're going to do this. And we're going to do it as hard as we can and for as long as we can.
Yeah. Well, what was the first mutual project for y'all?
So we did the first mutual. I'll tell you, this is a great story. You're gonna love this. So the first mutual project we worked on was called The Late Show with Corey Phillips. I met this guy named Corey in 2016 at a Halloween party, and we became mutual friends. Me and Kaden had mutual friends through See You in the Funnies. The first time I met Kaden was at a See You in the Funnies recording session in Mount Orb. It used to be Stage 3. Sugarfoot Productions.
Sugarfoot?
Yeah, Sugarfoot. Awesome. And we were there, and Kaden was he had just bought a camera at that time, like his first camera. It was a Canon, I think, right?
Yep, it was a Canon Rebel T6.
So
nice.
He had just bought a camera. I didn't know him at all. We were both there. I was there just as a mutual friend, just kind of like hanging out, and then he was there kind of just snapping photos, maybe record stuff, just just got asked, they're like, oh, you come on out, man. And so I seen him doing that. And a couple weeks later, I seen this guy, Corey, was doing this internet show. And I was like, man, this looks like fun. It's super goofy, super internet, like Eric Andre style stuff, you know. And at the time, I really liked that kind of comedy. So I seen what he had going on. He had some like professional looking production, like nice cameras and stuff. A buddy of his, Ben, who we're really good friends with to this day, was kind of running the production on it with his, you know, like running the computers, having the cameras. So I'm like, wow, this looks really good, and there's something kind of interesting about this. So I messaged him and got a hold of him. Was like, hey man, I would love to be a part of this. I would love to come in and maybe put a little bit of structure to it and like get the ball rolling with some creative ideas and like let's make this a real show.
Yeah.
And then at the time, I was like, hey, I just seen this camera, dude. I kind of want to just call this guy and bring him along. Is it cool if I bring somebody? And he's like, yeah, dude, no, totally. As many people as you want. So
Yeah, basically.
So I go on Facebook, and like I've never talked to this dude really before in my life. And I call him, and you were like,
I was in a Kroger parking lot. I just got out of the store.
And so I call him, and I'm like, hey man, like I know we don't really know each other. I seen you had a camera in your hand. Seen you in the funniest session. Would you want to go with me to this show and be the camera guy, and I'm gonna be directing, and we're just gonna just go for it? And he's like, dude, fuck yeah, let's go. And then we showed up, and then we did that for 2 years straight, every week, consistently. I think me and you took a week vacation individually.
That was when we were
time.
on break time. Though.
Yeah, and we just went for it, and it created this amazing relationship of work and partnership and friendship. It's crazy how shit happens. So sometimes you just gotta say fuck it. And our relationship started off of a fuck it moment, and then our Clairemont Films started off of a fuck it moment.
Yeah.
But just by wanting to be creative and have fun and love what we do, you know, because it's a hard process. This shit's hard work. Like,
oh yeah,
storytelling is the hardest fucking thing I've ever done in my life. Like, it feels easy to me because I'm creative, and I've been like that my whole life. But like, man, it's so hard because of the layering. Like I said, all the different things you have to learn just to make a film and make it feel good. Because you can make a shitty film with half-assed production, but you know what you're doing. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
You want to make the best.
And there's something, too, where it's like when you first step in the game, you get to be ignorant to certain things. Like, you don't know the quality differences between what you're doing and what you could do. And I think we all have to have some mercy on ourselves when we look back at those points of, that is the best I knew. The bigger thing is that I hit send. You know what I mean? You hit upload, you step back and go up for the next thing. Like, it's we have a lot of conversations with people at very many like stages of their creative development. And if you're not in a place that of, you know, your third or fourth at bat, then it's important to have some freedom to make mistakes as a beginner and to enjoy those mistakes and to grow from them every time, but not to come back, you know, pissed at yourself for it.
Yeah, man, we're all fuck ups. It's okay. And like that's the journey. Like I'm 26 now. I still look at myself like a relatively younger person in our scene. And
did it cut out on you?
A little bit for a second.
It's not the best cave in the world, I'll tell you the truth.
It's okay. But like I still feel relatively young, like within our scene, especially within our friend group. Like I grew up with a lot of like cats like to look up to and learn from, you know, especially in the music scene. And like I still feel like, you know, I have so much to learn, but I've learned so much, and I still feel like I was late to the game. Like I feel like I started doing film when I was 20 years old. You know, did the the internet show, and I'm still like fresh to a degree in this. I mean, 6 years isn't that long to be doing this stuff. I mean, when you look at film and the people that are successful in it, like in cinema, directors are fucking 30 years old and plus. Like, there's not like a very, very, very small handful of like younger directors and people that are running these big rig shows. It just doesn't happen. I mean, maybe like it's like same thing with sports. It's like the young rule sports, well, the old rule the film world. It's really how it is.
Well, probably the comedy world in some ways too.
Yeah.
Like there's certain crafts that
it takes time to build.
Yeah, well, and they take deeper looks at your attention. You know, how you capture someone's attention, how you take them on a journey, how you tell them that story. It's a really difficult thing, especially when you want to impress yourself first. If you don't love the art in your own hands and your own eyes, it's like, then it's probably not worth putting out to the world. You're probably doing this for reasons that you don't understand yet. But it's I didn't know a lot about like the cinematography world from skateboarding that came up in the 90s.
Oh,
yeah.
But,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
there's some hard hitters from that world, and these are guys that just got gritty with a camera in hand. You know,
I
like
just
that's
love skateboarding and followed some
Exactly.
dudes that did it, and
there needed to be this genre that no one saw coming. But there was some fuck it in that, you know.
Yeah.
There was probably a call saying you're going out skating while I'm coming out filming. They're like, why are you filming me eating it in this parking lot? It's like because it's gonna look gnarly when I'm done. Like that,
we can relate to that too, man. I
Yeah.
mean, See You in the Funnies. That like that's our favorite band.
That's our
And
skateboarders.
That's our skateboarders. We met those guys, and we're just fans of them and became friends with them. And as we followed them around, Caden just started documenting them.
Yep.
And then one day we looked down and we kind of asked, like, hey, can we do a music video for you guys? And they're like, I don't know, man, maybe, whatever, blah, 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 blah.
As they would.
Push, push,
Yeah.
push, push, push. Then one day we said, well, fuck you guys, we're making a music video. And then we just sent them the finished product. And they like had like one edit,
yeah.
like suggestion, and then we sent it back. And now we have like 5 to 10 plus music videos that we've done for Seeing the Funny. So they're our skateboarders. I
Yeah.
mean, really.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. It was just we were big enough fans. We were doing the show stuff. He had a camera. I wanted to direct things. I wanted to like put together creative ideas. And we just started doing it all at the same time. Just like the luck of the draw, you know. Right place, right time, right people.
Yeah, man.
Well, that also relates to what you were saying about like I saw a guy sing a song. I made him some fan art. Like the fact that you call it fan art is the most humble thing.
When
I
it's
could
the
imagine.
album art now.
Exactly.
But that's
it's fan
nothing.
art to him.
I don't
But
have
it also
nothing else
came
to call
fucking
it.
Well, you're a killer. You know you're a killer, but you call it fan art because you're humble and you're provoked by the art. Like they say to make something entertaining, you should be entertained. Like you felt moved by this. Like,
Yeah.
that makes me feel. That makes me kind of relate to this experience I've had with Tommy Lee, where it's like I'm a fan of you and your voice, and I'm sure I'd be a fan of whatever you write. So I'm gonna sit over here and strum some chords.
And help you.
We're gonna
What-
figure this out.
I barely say I need to help. It's like I made some fan art. I put some shit there, and this let her go to town with
Yeah.
it. And then suddenly I'm like, that's what I came here for. You did it. You did it in a way that I didn't even know I was being a part of in that moment.
Yeah.
You
That's
know,
beautiful,
like,
man.
and it's like, yeah,
That's
and then I got
awesome,
one
man.
Eddie, you know, someone gives you some attitude. I'm sure Josh and Netley would have been like, look, you know,
I think it was Josh who gave us
if
that
you
edit.
guys pay us $50, I'll let you make our videos. Josh would have done it. you
Oh
know?
yeah.
Oh, he
And-
would, though.
Well, he was the guy with the edit suggestions.
Yeah.
You know.
But that's the kind of G Josh is.
No,
man.
yeah,
Like, he gets
and-
it done.
You need that kind of stuff too, man. But you know, it always is kind of like taking back a step and just looking at holistic pictures. You know, like we didn't know what we were doing at that time for those guys, and like you look now at like what a pigment they've been in this city as like a rock and roll band, as a multi-genre band now. Because when we met them, they were an indie rock band.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And since then they've ventured on so many things. Like they have their before period where they did a lot of like indie lo-fi hip hop, put it on SoundCloud. You know, early days, See You in the Funnies,
Yeah.
when Thomas and Jimmy were kind of just making stuff in the basement. And but like that's what we knew them as, and they've progressed into this thing, and like. You talk about it, like, oh yeah, I know them guys. It's like, yeah, and then we get recognized through them, which is funny, and because we've just now started getting recognized from our own creations, like doing the podcast, like that's weirdly taken off in such a way that like I get noticed from that more than anything now. Like people are like, oh hey dude, I love you. Like people tell me all the time, and like they try to like, and I really genuinely adore the shit out of anybody that like says to me that, dude, I've been watching your thing. I really enjoy it. You're doing a great thing, this and that. And I really feel like that was what I wanted all along. Not the people telling me that, but like the feeling of you're doing something for your community. You're sharing what it is that I've been blessed to live in my life. Like I've gotten to see all the local art. I've got to go to these kick-ass, rememberable rock shows. Whether I'm being a content creator there or I'm just being a human being and being a fan of the show, like I want to spread those words, and I want more people to get involved, because that's how you build these meccas of like history. Like that's where this shit happens. It's just like small little communities. Look at like Seattle, look at LA, look at New York, look at Buffalo, look at Chicago. All those places are known because there was a period in time where their culture and the people there and the scene there was amazing. And it was because shit like this. There's these little happenings of just genuine feeling, emotion, creativity, artistry, just all just mingling together, and just something perfect happens. And that's like always the goal with everything. I feel like for everybody is to make that perfect moment happen. Like we talked about on my podcast, you want to have someone's attention for 3 hours. If you're doing a piece of art and you're playing a music set or you're showing a movie, you want their attention span the whole time. Why? Because it's beautiful. You want a moment. We want moments. We create moments. That's our life. That's what all this is. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. Well, and there's when you feel like there's weight and merit to your contributions to your art and the way it affects people, in the way like a podcast does. Like what you're doing in my mind, there's sitting down with somebody and championing their content. Whatever they do. These people come from many walks of life and many different crafts. But to be sat down and asked a question about it makes you feel like someone's listening, someone gives a shit, which is a beautiful thing that you guys are offering from many different lenses. Like the thing about the muse, okay, when you come in and you take these shots of this show, and we've talked about the difference between photography and cinema, like in video and just the way they feel. But when you catch a shot that makes one of these people that, they're only doing 4 songs. Maybe they're nervous as fuck about playing this.
Yep.
But you catch them being a rock star for a millisecond. And suddenly that's a profile picture they keep for the next 3 years of their life. It becomes a newfound confidence because a badass photographer gave you a chance to be a sexy subject, you know what I mean? Or a good podcast host gave you an opportunity to be the person in the chair.
Yeah.
And that kind of championing of our own gets the people on the outskirts to turn in. Like I had met the Funnies and I started to fall in love with the music, and I brought that band to my friend group and I said, look at this shit. And I felt cool bringing something that was not only from around here, but I was the champion. I was the intro to it. People want to feel like that inside scoop, So sharing that kind of joy and that kind of freedom for all of us to have some hometown pride in each other is an important thing. We got to grow the listener body before we start to do anything else. And you only do that by shouting from the mountaintops to your fucking friends on Facebook.
Exactly,
it,
man.
Yeah.
And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, you got to build that stuff locally, man, before you do take it to the masses. And like you and I have talked about that. Me and Will have talked about that. Like taking all this scene, all the beauty and amazing people that are here, and just championing them all at the same time. Everybody championing each other with that.
Yeah. I think there's also like, in the same way that you show him a trick, he comes back and tries to show you how to do it better, vice versa. I got friends in this scene that piss me off. They're so good, and you need that. Like Kyle Hackett's a great example for me. You guys know Kyle Hackett? Me and Kyle were just talking about like this little bit of a competitiveness that we have with each other, because he's another singer-songwriter with a great groove and great tunes. And like when I think about like what I'm trying to sound like, I'm trying to sound like a better version of Kyle, because I feel like Kyle sounds like a better version of me sometimes, man. Like you find people that make you insatiable for this art, and that's how we start to have a scene with a sound too. We take from each other. We happily teach each other the tricks. We encourage how to get better. Like I watched a Randy Rhoads documentary. Randy Rhoads from Ozzy Osbourne's band. Yeah. They're talking about how Randy is in a band called Quiet Riot at the same time that Van Halen's blowing up in L.A. Yep. So it's Eddie Van Halen and Randy Rhoads playing at clubs next to each other across town. These are the guitar gods of a scene. And they learn from each other, and that's why they're virtuosos. That's why they're so
in the same place, man.
Exactly. And they're happily playing to this audience as competitors, because you should be. Yeah. And then you get on the same bill, and you try to make the best show that you can, so that those people want to go up and kick better ass. You know what I mean?
100%.
Like we will thrive together, especially when, say you're a little fired up, you go and I'm playing a show with the Funnies or something like that. If I'm opening up for the Funnies, I'm swinging from the hip because I know these dudes are killers. And I want to impress their fans. I want their fans going home thinking about me, and I want my fans going home thinking about them. It's like, it's the way this scene needs to work for us to enjoy each other like that.
I mean, really, then, that competitiveness is cool. And it's funny, me and Mike had another conversation about that. Like, for music scene, it's so saturated right now. There's so much good music, like. But what's cool about our music scene that I think is different than a lot of places, like you would say, like Nashville, who's the city of country, or like you go to the L.A. and like you're gonna see your biggest rappers there, or Atlanta, you'll find the biggest rap music and stuff like that. But like Cincinnati doesn't have a niche. There's so much music in the city that's so diverse from each other. Like you're gonna see country, you're gonna see rock and roll, you're gonna see jazz, you're gonna see funk, you're gonna see like orchestra. You're gonna see, it's all here, man. Like every perspective, and it's so there's so much of it. It's a strange thing to see. Like, but there's not. What was the original point? I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought.
I feel like you were talking about like how Nashville kind of has a
the
niche of
competition.
one thing, yeah, and like when you don't have to be in one brand of things, you don't have to fight for the same territory.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't feel like Cincinnati is that. That's what I was kind of getting to. Is like the competition. There's the same groups of people in the same rooms, but like you said, like you found the boys seeing the funnies. You took them to your friend group and said, "Hey, check this out." They started hearing them. It's not like they'd all been integrated already.
Yeah.
In between each other, there's these different groups of different genres that we still haven't been able to completely go into each other. And that's why I feel like with talking to you, I've been trying to do, like, I've talked to all these different people from all these different walks of life now, and like now those people know people, and all these things are intersecting just through like my just conversations with them, and it's really cool to see that. But on like another point of the competition thing was on film, and this is what me and Mike really talked about in film world. There's not really that many like film groups in this city, and and talking to Mike, he's been like at the film festivals like in the last 2 years, working with who he's worked with, and there's not much there like in like real like competition. So that like for us, dude, we're just kind of running blind to what we just kind of want to do. Like there's no like, oh, we got to get into the film scene, like there is no scene really. There's just individual people that are kind of doing it. I know one that I'm a fan of, it's BTB Films, and just seen a premiere for theirs. It was really good film. Stylistically, it's very different than what we do, but I enjoyed it, and I loved the message they were trying to send. At least what I took from it. Everyone sees things differently.
Is B2B a local film group?
BTB.
BTB.
Yeah, yeah. So they're local. Kevin, I think is the Kevin Garner. I think something like that is his name. He's the director, and then there's a Kyrie, I think, is another. I can't remember their names exactly, but that's close. That's close to. The really cool guys. They make good. They make good art. They wanna kind of do the same thing that we're kind of trying to do with the film scene. Is just kind of like start it. Let's get something started in this city, like on an independent level. Like, where's the artist at? Because there's a lot of work in Cincinnati now with the film industry. Like, there's movies coming in all the time now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of commercial work, but that's the thing is like that stuff's all on the top level. Like these are people coming into the city to do work, or people that are giving stuff outwards. That it's not for Cincinnati.
Yeah,
Cincinnati.
It's an interesting point to make that people are coming here using the resource of our city for its aesthetic, for its culture, and here we are not using it ourselves. Like that's a very odd.
Whereas we're making real stories based off of things that we see in reality, but we base them in our place. Like all of our backgrounds are rural areas in our small towns. I mean, we've used Mount Orb where we live multiple times, and it's of course like low budget. We don't have, but we decide based off of those like where we want to get the best look. Like this is where like we choose locations based off of those significant surroundings, because a lot of our stories feel like them hometown things because that's our culture, but yeah, like there isn't much competition when it comes to like the film world in Cincinnati as there is with the music side. But also on the contrary, because it's such a vast different genre in each like spectacle music in the city, it doesn't seem like it's as competitive.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. Like, you benchmark who you want to benchmark against. Like, just because they're not local doesn't mean they're not your competitors. So
Absolutely.
one thing that like helps me out in my day-to-day life is like I benchmark some artists and I just watch their tour schedule and I try to call those venues because those are rooms I want to be playing, like little things like that. Same thing with film festivals. Watching these certain groups and where they try to approach from is significant, and I feel like when it comes to trying to compare Cincinnati's culture to a Nashville or an LA, it's like we don't compare to the sheer size of what that is. But we do have something compared to a Detroit, or something like a Pittsburgh or a Philadelphia. It's like maybe not a Philadelphia. I mean, if you got Danny DeVito and all this sunny weather.
2 Chainz still lives there, man.
Who does?
2 Chainz.
Okay.
Their team won the Super Bowl too, man. So like,
they have better things to go. Well, actually, we're about to have one of those.
I think so.
As soon as the Bengals start letting me bring my stem cells into their business, okay, when I get my distribution in there, I don't want to make money off the team. I just want to see us win.
Oh no, yeah, 100%.
Homegrown cells, baby.
Dude, if they win the Super Bowl, I will make a hype video for them every year.
Okay, dude, but there is something crazy.
But they gotta post it. I won't just do it for me to post. No, they gotta do it.
But just to go once has put us in a totally different mindset. Like we're willing to pay 3 times the amount for tickets. We're selling triple the amount of jerseys. I'm sure
we're the next Patriots.
All you need is one pop for people to start looking, and that's the same thing with the bands and with our cinematography scene. It's like all you need is one good pop. So you just keep taking at bats and cranking, and when you're out of town, run your mouth about the nasty natty, tell people about what you do, what we got. And it's like the 513 runs on Dirty, Dirty River. And we've been drinking that water, okay? We're going to do this.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
We have been, too. And that's the thing. There's a little bit of crazy in this world around us here.
Yeah. Well, and if you don't have crazy in your life, like, it's got to be, you have to have that balance, ambition and contentment. Like, are you happy when you wake up? Good. Yeah. Now get your shit together and get outside and do something with your life. Yeah. It's like you got to be zen, but you got to be nuts, man.
Well, and dude, and I preach it a lot. I believe in that mindset very much. So I mean, like you only get one go at this thing we call life. You might as well get out there and go for it. And like also like because most people say it but don't do it. Actions speak much louder than words. Mm-hmm. The very repetitive phrase. We've all heard it 1,000 times, but it seeks so much wisdom. Like, it really matters what you do. Like, your words, you can speak as much as you want, but unless you've actually done the actions, you worked out, you ate good, you decided to do all those things, because they all suck. Mm-hmm. They don't feel good. But, you can obtain that by dedication, determination, and discipline. It's like it takes a lot, and I'm not even the best example of that. I've just done small examples of that in my life, but those small examples have gotten me where I am now. And I feel like as an artist and as a creative and as somebody that's pursuing this as a career, I'm not doing too bad at 26. I got a lot more to learn. I got a lot more to do. I got a great partner here with me to help me do it all, and he's got to make good decisions. Get the right people around you. Do it for the right reasons.
Yeah. For both you guys individually, what's the biggest change you want to see from yourself in 2023?
2023. Mainly, I just want to dive into this film stuff, man. That's mostly what I want to do. I want to start creating like our own brand again because we kind of took a little bit of break for that. We've been focused on the movie a lot, but mainly just dive back into that.
And when you say that, do you mean like short films in particular?
Short films, writing. We have a couple features we have planned, but those are years down the road.
You want to talk about that?
We can talk about that.
Drop the truth. Tell me.
We can talk about that.
I'm going to let you talk about it first, Ken. You intro this.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure we mentioned it on our podcast, Talking to You before. Yeah. But we have a 10-year plan that by the end of our careers to make 10 hard-hitting, badass films.
Well, let me correct them. It's a 10-year. We have a 10-year plan, but we have 10 movies that we want to complete in our career, and these are already
outside of that 10 years, or in 10 years you want to complete 10 movies.
That's what I'm saying. We have a 10-year plan, but it's not to do all 10 of those movies.
Yeah. Okay. So it's just to get the ball rolling within this 10 years.
Right.
Yeah. We have decided of 10 movies to do in our career as filmmakers that we want to do going forward for basically the rest of our life, and then there's
you have all these movies planned out.
Yeah, and then there's a possible 11th, and I'm gonna let this sit on the internet where it's at now. Okay. So, and 25, 30 years, if we make 10 movies, then they can question if there's going to be 11.
That's good shit. But who's the other director that's done something similar to that?
Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And he's on what?
He's about to
10.
do 10.
He's about to do 10?
Yeah, 10. It's coming up.
Is that where that inspiration comes from? Is it like that class act of 10 good ones and I'm out of here? Or?
Well, I'm going to say this, man, and this is literally words of Quentin Tarantino, but I've thought it before I heard him say it, and I believe it wholeheartedly, is that we don't get better as we get older, man. Not with this. You hit a peak around like that 30-year-old, 35-year-old mark, and then you make about 4 to 5 really, really, really good ones, and then you could probably make 5 or more really good ones, but it doesn't get better. You did what you wanted to do. You can only show so much in that amount of time, man. Like, there's not much availability to create these avant-garde. I mean, you have examples of guys that have really tried to and that have been successful, like James Cameron did, the Terminators, but he also did Titanic, and he also did Avatar. And, he has these he touches different varieties and genres.
Yeah.
And not many people can do that. Quentin Tarantino does the same thing, but he's niche in his style. He does his style every time.
Yeah.
You can only do so much with that as a writer, because you're only one person. Like, me and Kaden are only two people. That's what we're lucky enough to have two of us thinking, but we're not a Quentin Tarantino per se.
So when you talk about these 10, maybe 11 flicks, they're written. Are they definitely sequenced? Do you know where you're going to start with these things?
So one is written right now.
In its entirety?
And in its entirety.
Okay.
One is written right now.
Will that be first?
That'll be first up for sure. And that could be in the next few years. That's not on the plate yet. That's just in development and like planning and getting paperwork ready.
Okay.
Well,
I guess
money.
Let's return to this 10-year plan. Tell me where we start within that.
When we start with that,
that's the
feature length, man.
Yeah, get a
the
feature
one Will was just
film,
talking about,
and then probably get another one out, maybe 2. So like 3 max, at least get one like feature length movie running like on a good indie run.
Yeah. And what is a feature length film?
An hour and a half.
Okay.
So 90 minutes. That's what is considered a feature length. It could be an hour 20. It could be an hour 10.
Usually about an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you make it an hour, that's feature.
I find those time constraints to be very odd. Like I don't like going to the movies for 3.5 hours.
No, yeah.
But well,
sometimes you have to.
Yeah, and what's the difference between 2 hours and an hour and a half? Like just a lot more editing and discipline about trimming the fat. It seems. Like,
well, and it just depends on the story you're trying to tell. Like a lot of people, I feel like go in to tell this big story, but then they don't have enough time to tell it, so they expand it, and it like wasn't in their planning to do that anyway. So it just turns into this kind of half and half, like what the edit feels like.
Yes,
it happens, man. I mean, just kind of the way the filmmaking works. It's kind of a throw up in the air when you start filming.
Man, it gets so much more real when you're talking about like actually blocking things out. Like I've noticed it with the music video where it's like I could have sworn I had 3.5 minutes of content here, and we're blown out after 45 seconds, and we're out of content. So it's like let's just fly the chorus, do the chorus sequence again. I don't know.
I got another idea. Let's do this.
Exactly. So how you do that when you're edging on 115 and you're like, God, fuck,
Yeah, no, for sure. And, that's the goal for 10 years, though, is like to at least get one big hour and a half long. It's probably going to be longer than that. It's probably going to be a 2-hour long movie.
It'll be close.
Get one feature long movie out that is our born bred, like, thing that we've been planning to do. And honestly, man, like that movie that we have written, if we could write another movie next month. Like we wrote that movie in a month. Like it took like what we developed the idea for about 6 months.
Oh, you don't.
I know. We developed the idea for about 6 months, and then we wrote it in about a span of 2 to 3 months.
Yeah,
and that was like
it's from June to August.
Like every once in a while, jumping on it. If we decided to like write a film, like we're gonna sit and write a movie, it'll probably take us about a month.
That's heavy to think of doing that in a month though. Like, and I
Oh, there will be edits, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. But we'll have a finished, done 130-page script.
Is that similar to how you guys kind of do your video editing, where it's like, here's the device everything's on. I'm working these hours, and you can work these hours. And you can
Kinda, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
What a nice way, like, I call it manning the helm. It's like, if I'm singing vocals, I have no idea what that shit sounded like in the context of the song. I'm just trying to perform it. So I need someone sitting there saying, this, not that, this, not that, you know? And when it comes to a script, it's like, how far back do you reread as you're going through this?
Oh, you
thing?
read it. You read it
In its
multiple
entirety?
times.
Yep.
Hundreds of times.
That sucks.
No, it's
It's fun,
if
though.
you love
Really?
it, man. If you love it. See, me, I'm not a big reader. Caden's a huge reader. He loves
yeah.
to read. So, like, for him, it's no biggie at all. Me, I don't like reading, but I like audiobooks, and I love creating. And those words are creative, and those are the words that I'm speaking out. So, like, for that movie, like, I'd say, like, most of the descriptive writing is Caden. And then a lot of dialogue is where I come in. So I think of a lot of the snappy, crappy dialogue, and then Caden writes like the descriptive thing to kind of get the scene set up. So when we go to film it, I can go, all right, so this is what we're doing, and we can kind of use our imagination to plot that with locations and stuff better.
Yeah.
So we utilize kind of like Caden's an amazing writer. He's written, a 1,500-page novel series.
What?
Yeah. It's unknown. We don't talk about it.
You're creeping me out, dog.
Dude, 65K fucking views.
Actually, it's 70,000.
70,000 hits on this website.
Is this under some kind of ghost? Like,
Yeah, he's
name?
anonymous.
Oh yeah.
Dude, is it on Reddit?
No,
No, it's
Where
on
is it at?
some.
you're never gonna find it.
Yeah.
Release it.
No.
You're not leaving my fucking house.
The first 800 pages suck. I can't do it.
I wouldn't read it anyway. Just send it to me.
It's beautiful. No, I've never even read it. He won't show me it.
I can't get you to read a 30-page short
But
story.
I know.
Damn,
Yeah.
at least I admitted
I would
it,
publish
Will.
it though. Dude, I had that book on the podcast forever too. It was just sitting there, just waiting to not be read.
You would actually really like that story.
No, but that's the thing, man. Is like he's a great writer, and then me, I love the fucking talk, and I have a lot. And sometimes I say some really clever shit, and most of the time it doesn't. But when you write it down and edit it, I mean, it turns out to be a beautiful, brilliantly put together story. And like we have 10. We want to do. We have what was it like? We have 4 confirmed. Like have the synopsises and stuff like that.
Yes, that are mostly figured out.
And these are pipe dreams. Like, fuck, man, we may never get the money to make these things, but
We'd
we're gonna
still make
try.
them.
But you gotta talk this way if you want to get anything done. In this.
100%, dude. You gotta be confident.
You gotta,
in yourself.
you gotta
I'm gonna
believe,
attack
man.
the beast.
Yeah, man. I look at this schedule I made for myself once a week. I'm like, I barely do any of this shit. You know what I mean? Like, it's just you got to, especially when you're self-employed, self-driven to do this. It's like when there's accountability in a partner.
Yeah.
But when you're talking about the 500 hours it takes to get that 90 minutes, baby, like, yeah, it's kind of hard to hold that thing down.
It's a fun thing, though, man. But those are good. Those are all the things that like people need to do. Like, if you want to make a dent in your life with this kind of stuff. Like, I know so many people that just like want to just do something artistic, but don't even take the steps to just like make the first few steps.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part, and then the hardest part after that is leveling up and recognizing the level ups.
Yeah.
Like, because you'll do it, but you won't recognize it, and then you won't utilize the skills that you just obtained because you didn't notice that you were doing it in the moment.
Yeah.
But you learned it, but you didn't put it together until later when your mind wrapped itself around the entirety of the big picture.
For sure, man. And going back to like what you're saying, like you cross-train things. Like a lot of people have the idea in their mind that they want to run a 5K. It's like you don't realize before you take that first step, there's a lot of time on a treadmill learning how to do that shit. And it's like that's where the economy of our scene has to be great. People need to be taken care of for the right reasons. When you guys do step aside from your personal projects to help me put together the muse or something like that, you got to make sure that time is worthwhile. And also, we can monetize our learning around each other. You want me to do something I've never done before, like that film roll. That I still haven't used that film roll for anything, but I gave you this weird idea, and you came through and designed it. And it's like the things you learn in a simple task like that. It's interesting the way that then reapplies to the rest of the scene and how you push that around.
Exactly, man. Like you just learn it without even, like Will was saying, without even realizing it. And then when you do take a step back to like look back on what you've done, because I'll scroll through my Instagram, old videos. We'll watch our films all the time.
Oh fuck, we forgot we did that.
Yeah, and we'll
all the time.
And just look back and reflect, like, oh, we would do that better. Or, oh, that was cool. Or we should have done that. And that's how you get better. But then you remember, oh, we did that. I'm going to do that for the next one now because that was freaking cool.
We do.
Yeah.
We make it better.
But you gotta watch film on yourself. Like what ugly part of the experience? Like watching videos of my own performance makes me fucking sick,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And I'm sure it's even worse when it's like not only are you judging your writing, you're judging your acting, you're judging your framing, you're judging your coloring. It's like,
Oh man, I hate my acting.
Yeah, Will
sometimes.
takes the brunt of that.
I'm sure. I'm
I
sure
talk
it's tough.
so much shit. But dude, but the thing is that I keep that like that's the thing is like for me, man, like in the role I am, like it's hard shit. Like and it's a lot about giving shit and taking shit. You know, like with directing roles, like you have to be able to solve all of these complicated problems. Like that's the biggest job a director has is like solving complicated problems, and that's people problems, that's location problems, that's on set problems, that's prop problems, that's the audio's fucking up, the camera's fucking up,
Yeah.
we don't know what we're doing, you know, all these different problems. It's all about problem solving, and then like breaking that down to a human level, and like having the confidence to like put yourself in that position to do that. And like, you know, I talk the same way about myself as I would anybody else. You know, it's all even playing field for me. So my shit talk goes into the same way with other people. Like, oh, come on, Ricky, step up, bro. Like, you know, we rehearsed this shit. How many times did we do it in the bedroom?
I
Come
love
on,
to
man.
immediately bring up Ricky. You went straight
I
from
love
my
Ricky.
You know I love Ricky.
love Ricky. Ricky's
Ricky's my
such
star.
a good dude, man. And he is. He's one of those, like, he's a gifted, talented person. He has the soul and the heart of gold, and he could really be a success in his life. And I believe that, and I try to push that and instill that into him as someone he calls his cousin, as someone he considers one of his best friends. Is, you know, like, that's the things that you need to do for people around you too, is like be there, be like, hey man, you're doing great, or hey man, you're fucking up.
Yeah.
Both are the most validating things in this life, and they're so necessary and so needed and so like pure in what their essence really is. And there's not many people you find doing that. And so I just try to give what I feel like I can give in that, which is, you know, solid criticism and love and compassion.
Yeah, the blunt truth, man.
That's all you can do.
Well, as we begin to wrap this up, is there any projects or any services or any intentions that you guys would like to offer up?
What you got?
I mean, listen, man, we're trying to streamline the hell out of next year. We're trying to make it a lot less messy and more pivotal. If you want some music videos, we're your guys. Cool. And we're wanting to like really like turn them into big event things. So like, we'll do the music video, we'll do a trailer, thumbnail, flyers and promo for that thing. You know, we'll make the album art, the release art for that solo song, the whole the little video for the Spotify. Like, do the whole thing as one bunch, so it's not all this scrambleness. So that we're going to streamline that. Some music videos should just come with everything.
It's like, here's the deliverables for this.
Would
you say that's the bread and butter of things that you offer to other artists in the scene?
Yeah, I mean, and we don't do that now. It's all spread out, and everyone asks for stuff like differently at different times. We want to kind of cut all that out and just go into one singular lane with it and make it for an eventful one-line thing, which is what we're best at, which is music videos.
When you can standardize things in that way, it's like, this is what we offer, start to finish. We're doing it this way. So you guys can keep your heads on straight. No one's a chicken with their head cut off running around here saying, I don't have a thumbnail. So then I'm just going to take a quick screen capture. And then Caden's like, Will, why does this look like garbage? Like, because the guy took it on his phone. It's like, okay.
Exactly.
So we have to send that to him now. You know?
We're just going to cut all that out, and we're just going to make it the best, most professional looking thing we could possibly do, from the video to the images that are released with the video to the song being put on Spotify or wherever you release it, to the album. It's whatever, all that stuff.
What's the brand under which you do that service?
So that's APR.
Okay, cool.
That's APR. That's more of a service-based thing that we created to kind of, and it's just me and Caden, but like, it's a good way to like kind of get out in front of like people that wouldn't necessarily just look at Clairemont Films, which is our film identity.
I never knew that was APR. I always said April. I was like,
a lot of people do that.
It's the same thing.
Okay.
It's
I'll remember that though.
Yeah, and then we have so we do that through that, and then we have just the Clairemont Films, and then Talking to You, which is a podcast, which we do things as like us too. So like music videos, we just label, it's just me and Caden. Like, we're director and cinematographer. Like, that's we've decided to put our names into stuff like that, because that's an artist thing. Like, your name's your brand.
And you can contract out that way. Your independence, you know? Like, there's going to be points in time where someone just wants Caden services, just wants your services. So it's nice to be able
Let your
to
skills be known what you're doing. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a company doing this. It's us. Like,
yeah. But if you're gonna sign on, here's the company doing all this stuff. Here's what you're getting. It's like that's the cleanliness. That's the standardization we need for sanity.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what it is. It's like we're doing just freelance stuff. You know, we're not doing any huge big projects or nothing really like, whoa, mesmerizing. Like, we're just going out and just doing our thing. And, you know, like, so with the APR, it's just kind of to brand ourselves to a more general, you know, so like if like a wedding comes up, like a friend of ours or a friend of a friend or a friend of a friend of a friend wants to do a wedding, we'll post it under that. And so that people can see it and they'll be like, oh, this is nice. And then people will maybe want to hire us to do that more often.
Mm-hmm. But it's the medium for doing so.
Yeah, exactly.
So all these channels, Talking to You, Clairemont Films, and APR 14th Photography and Videography.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
In full. Okay. Make sure you subscribe to all that shit. If you don't, I'm going to find you.
Find you.
There's only 5 of you that actually watch this show, so get your shit together and hook these guys up. Thank God. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
No, I mean, we're going to be coming out with a movie at some point soon. It's going to be called Moonlight Hour. I just want all my friends to come out to that and check it out. And go check out our films, Clairemont Films, and maybe you might get interested to come see that film because that's the kind of stuff that we like to do.
Bang, bang. You got a date for that event?
No, not yet, but it will definitely be probably next year.
Cool. Will, Kaden, I love you guys. Thanks for coming over.
Love you too, brother.
Love you too, Matt.
Those are some pretty sweet dudes. My friends Will Hafley and Kaden Lucas. Make sure you check out all the amazing things they're doing and all the wonderful artists they seem to support. It's similar to my man Mike Heffron, if you saw me on his podcast the other day. There's a lot of folks who make our scene better by providing their skill sets to all of us. So make sure you support those people, show the love. And without further ado, we got some dates, baby. Tonight, we were out in Milford, Ohio, Little Miami Brewing Company for a special edition of the Monday's Muse. This is going to feature Max Gears, Tommy Lee, and Megan Wren, who's going to be our featured act for the next 2 weeks here. Thursday night, I'm going to be at Big Ash Brewing. I am doing a Crooner Circus takeover with my man Noah Smith. We're going to have a wide variety of beautiful acts. Make sure you check out the flyer for all those. And we have some changes coming up, so I will let you know soon. Friday the 16th, I'm going to be at the pub Rookwood. That show starts at 7 o'clock. Saturday the 17th, we're playing Carlo and Johnny's for the first time as The Recipe. I grew up playing Carlo and Johnny's. Every Wednesday in high school, I'd be out there. I'm looking forward to being back with the gang. Every single Sunday night, find me a fishbowl at the Banks. The 18th, I'm going to be there, per usual, starting at 8 o'clock. The 19th, we got the Monday's Muse at Latitudes. This is the filmed episode. If you want to be on our internet platform, get your ass out there. That show starts at 7 o'clock. That's also going to feature Megan's student and friend Mila. So please come check it out. Again, Megan Wren, Tommy Lee, Max Gears, and Mila. Let's see, Friday the 23rd, we are at the Foundry Jeff Ruby Steakhouse downtown, now on Ruby's Way, bumping to get a name street. That's what I'm talking about, Jeff. Way to rage. Then the 29th, I'll be back at Little Miami. And then to end the year, I'm going to be at Jeff Ruby Steakhouse. So that's what we got for the wrap-up of 2023, everybody. Take care in the holiday season. Tell people you love them. Give whoever you want to squeeze as long as you ask. Peace in the meantime.